Hello and welcome back to the Infinite Edge podcast, sponsored by InfiniteEdgeHealthWellness.com. My name, as always, is Todd. I haven't changed it, don't plan on it. We got Nate here and Jeremy sticking around with us as always. And today we're going to go into talking about diets and macros. Correct, Nathaniel? Macros?
Oh
All
yeah.
right, so here you go. Before we get into the tense stuff, here's our dad joke. Ready? Why did the cucumber go on a diet? Because it saw the salad dressing. Yeah, it was embarrassed because it didn't look as good as that salad. All right, so now we're going to dive
Oh,
into this is the top 10 nutrition facts that everyone agrees on according to Healthline. We're not necessarily saying we agree about them, but Healthline says that almost everyone else does. So, number one, and I think we all agree on this one, added sugars are a disaster. Obviously, added sugars are bad. Most stuff has enough natural sugar. You don't want added sugars as well.
yeah.
Number two, omega-3 fats are crucial, and most people do not get enough. We agree on that one. All right, so number three, we'll go off to there is no perfect diet for everyone. I know we all agree on that one, as we all
Yeah.
three require different diets to try to meet our goals.
Well, and that one comes down to same with diets and workout routines and everything else. There's always the people on the internet of don't listen to these guys, listen to me. I know this and this worked for me. And if I can do it, you can do it. Yeah, that might work for him, but it's not going to work for me. It's not going to necessarily work for Todd. Hell, Nate and me might have a really good run at something and this works great for us. And Todd's like, yeah, no, it did the opposite for me. You guys kind of, you know, so yeah, they're definitely not one for everybody.
Okay, so guess what? Number four, artificial trans fats are unhealthy. I think everybody knows that one, right?
I think that's one thing we might want to go over at some point in the future is talking about the different types of fats. Because I know I'll be honest, I don't really know a whole lot about all the different ones. I just know that kind of generally agreed upon olive oil is good for you.
Right, I agree. I think we should dive into that soon.
Yes.
Number five, and I think this is one of the more obvious ones too, even though there are some carnivore dieters out there, eating veggies will improve your health.
Yep.
And for me, someone like me who doesn't like them, I have to get a supplement to help, at least in that direction.
Yeah, it's obviously getting like a whole food source is usually preferable, but I think that's something that myself as well. I definitely have to take some sort of a supplement to be able to offset the lack of veggies that I do eat.
All right, so on to number six, and it is avoid a vitamin D deficiency. Obviously, and
Got it.
there's many ways you can get vitamin D, correct? We know that sunlight's a good one,
Yeah.
right? If you're like me, I don't drink milk. I don't know. I know you guys like milk, but
Oh yeah.
I can't do it. Number seven, refined carbohydrates are bad for you. Maybe that's another category we could dive into a little bit, the old carbohydrates.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's the simple carbs versus the complex carbs, but I think in today's day and age, I think there's been enough different talk around all these different diets and the different types of carbohydrates and what's good and what's bad. It definitely can get a little cloudy. So definitely something we should go over in the future.
Yes.
Number eight, it says that supplements can never fully replace real foods.
It's
Absolutely.
true.
So even though we take the greens and red stuff, we have to try to get some veggies too, whether it be green beans or spinach. I know I like raw spinach, but I can't eat cooked
Broccoli.
spinach. I can't eat broccoli.
Love broccoli.
Raw broccoli
Oh,
I can eat, but not
see,
cooked.
I feel I see. I'm the one I love just raw veggies. Like you set out one of the veggie trays at a party. That's mine. I'm not gonna even go after everything else, but that's because I like them, not because it's like, oh, I'm gonna eat this to be the healthiest one in the party. No, no, no. I just like them. They're good, so it doesn't really bother me as long as it's not cauliflower, because that's
I think
oh
I think the raw ones are for me taste better too. They're not as strong in flavor, maybe is what it is.
yeah. There's
I
that too.
the uncooked variety better.
Yeah. Number 9, and I think we definitely all agree with this one. Diets don't work without a lifestyle change. So nothing you do in life, if you're trying to do something that's big in your life or change your life, if you don't change your lifestyle, it's not going to happen, right? And the last one, unprocessed foods are the healthiest. So the more processed, the worse it is for you.
Sure.
Which as time advances and the world changes, that becomes harder and harder and harder to do. Oh, yeah.
Well, and then it's interesting too to see all the different stuff that they're engineering nowadays when it comes down to like meats and
Bananas.
it's like banana. Well, yeah, I had heard somewhere, and don't quote me on this. I had heard that all of the bananas were originally derived off of one type of a species that is apparently no longer existent. It doesn't
Yeah,
exist anymore.
that's what I heard too, that they're made in a lab. Or not,
Huh.
they're not organic or whatever. Maybe not a lab, but
Something interesting.
Huh.
yeah.
I've
Reason-
never heard that.
That's going to make us go down the rabbit hole at some point.
We will.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
The banana
Oh,
rabbit
there's-
hole.
I do remember the species. It's Cavendish
Oh,
is the species
Okay.
of banana, but I don't remember the rest of the details. So I'll end that rabbit hole right there.
well, as
Yeah.
we're diving in on different food things that drive us nuts, peanuts are not nuts. They're legumes and they're gross. All right.
No, peanuts are fine. Peanut butter, that's rough.
I love peanut butter.
I love peanut butter.
Yeah, good protein.
I'm weird. I don't like peanut butter. Peanut butter is it's just yeah.
That's another cast idea there when we're doing one of our chill things. Foods that most people like that we do not.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a few. I like some weird stuff that everyone's like, why in there? Okay. Rabbit hole. Continue.
Yeah, Nate, go ahead and dive into the macros and protein stuff for us.
Die.
Ooh.
Oh boy. Well, I will try not to get too far down the rabbit hole with it, but
It's okay. We're all
What
mad
up?
here.
right. What are macros? I think a lot of people that aren't necessarily like heavily into the bodybuilding and fitness type thing maybe don't even necessarily know the three general categories of the macros. I know it's something that I hadn't really looked into a ton, even the amount of years that I've been doing some level of fitness and different exercise research and stuff like that, and partaking in sport events and stuff. I never looked into it until fairly recently. So the three different categories of macros are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Protein, the general guideline for how much protein you need to get in your diet is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And proteins, they actually, and I would imagine most people don't get that.
That'd be a
Yeah,
lot of
that's-
protein for me, buddy.
It's changed over the years, but that's the general consensus, especially for people with an active lifestyle, to be able to avoid like muscular deterioration and all the other fun stuff that goes along with that. But protein gets broken down into amino acids, and then your body uses that as building blocks to create a bunch of different tissues and stuff in your body. So carbohydrates are used in creating energy for the body in the form of blood glucose. There are the two types of carbohydrates, complex and simple. I had mentioned that earlier. Complex takes more time to be able to process and break down, and your body has to do more to get it down to that glucose form, whereas simple carbohydrates are easier for the body to turn into glucose, and then therefore it's easier for your body to turn into fat when you have too much of it. So the complexity, how much it takes for the body to break down, turns out that's a good thing. And then last is fats, which are used in creating energy in the body in the form of ketones. There's lots of debate as to what types of fats are good. I did kind of mention that sometime we should go over that. And as far as I've seen, and I'm not sure if you guys maybe have any sort of different experience, all I've been able to really find in terms of like a consensus is that olive oil is good. I've heard some people say coconut oil is good. Some people are like, no, it's not great for you. I've heard other people say that as long as you stay away from like the vegetable oil that doesn't even tell you what's in it, it just says like veggie oil on the front or something, and it's a mystery oil. Some people just say that that's the only thing you got to stay away from, and Some people go, they go crazy over like the regular old school butter. So I don't know. All I've ever been able to really find in my own little glancing over the internet is that olive oil is good.
I mean, on a
Yes.
positive note, I think a lot of these, because we're talking about like cooking with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these companies have come out with these pans where you don't necessarily need it or need as much. You know what I mean? Nothing sticks as much. You know, you use cast iron or whatever.
There's that, and to get away from the oils and fats and stuff, there you can air fry things as well that take a lot of that out of it. And well, depending on how you use it, because everything used improperly can be used improperly.
Right.
I got to get me another air fryer.
Yeah, I got one of those round ones. I kind of want to get one of the flatter ones too, you know, to be able to make different things in.
Oh yeah.
I had an air fryer for a long time. I love that thing.
Mm-hmm. We just got a really fancy one at Christmas that air fries, steams, and something else, and it'll do it all at once. So you can make a full, so you can like steam rice, air fry the meat and the protein, and do something with the veggies, all in the same thing, all in like 15 minutes. It's super cool. We still haven't figured out how to use it totally yet. So
Yeah, I would never.
but it is cool because it takes a lot of that excess fat and whatnot out.
Sounds
but as
like
we're talking,
the tiny house.
yeah, it's nice. It's cool. I'll have to show it to you. But as we're talking about food, right? There's a lot that goes into timing your food intake and what it does for your body. Like if you consume carbohydrates a few hours before bed, it can really help you sleep better. If you do it in the evening, due to the way blood sugar and insulin interact with each other, it can help you get better rest and bring yourself down and, not wake up hungry. That's always a good thing, but you got to time it right in order to make sure that that's the case. There are studies out there that show that eating within the first hour or two of waking up and the last hour or two can lower how effectively our body operates in generating hormones, building tissues, and recovery and resting. So there's a lot. Once again, timing is important. You can eat before bed, right? But if you do it too close to bed, too close to the end of your day, it can actually have a negative effect. So you got to kind of balance where it is. And once again, everyone's different. No diet works for everybody. No plan works for everybody. You got to go off of science and what you can find works the best for you. The other thing that's up for a ton of debate is the fasting idea. It's thought to allow the body to consume the cells in the body that are less optimal, that are damaged or unhealthy. So there's a lot of debate. A lot of people say it's really good. A lot of people say it's really bad. But as we've said, across all of it, right? Not everything works for everybody. So it may work for somebody. Nate may do his fasting, and all of a sudden it works great. And he's losing weight and building muscle and having, and things are great. And I do it and it doesn't work for me. And then I'm lethargic. It affects your mental health. It doesn't function for your body because there is also that you got to balance food, diet, as well as being able to not inhibit your mental health in the process of doing that, because that can do it. If you're not getting enough food, you don't have enough energy, and then all of a sudden it affects your mental state. So
You good, Todd? Or did you have something?
I was gonna make a bad joke about you don't want to eat too late before you go to bed because you don't want to code brown while you're sleeping. It slipped my mind after that. I know, as someone like me, I digest food very fastly, so as soon as I eat, not too long after, I go to the restroom. So
I'm sure everybody is thankful that I brought that back up.
yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I know for me, I've tried a couple quote unquote diets, low carb type stuff, and I've found that if I don't eat some sort of carbohydrate in the evening, like at dinner time, I will fall asleep and I will wake up at like 1 o'clock in the morning wide awake and never be able to fall back asleep. So that's definitely something for me that like I need to get some sort of like rice or rice or sweet potato or something like that in the evening time to be able to make sure that I can actually sleep. Otherwise, I'm up all night. So, and the other thing that was kind of cool that you had mentioned the whole having energy throughout the day in terms of timing your food and stuff like that. One thing that I've started doing fairly recently within the last, I'd say about 2 3 months. I've been testing around with it over the last year or so, probably, but consistently for the last 2 months is taking a ketone supplement. And what that ends up doing is that takes that area that the fats had already broken it down to into that ketone form, and it takes that and it raises your blood levels of that. So for me, that helps avoid the crash of maybe not having that timed thing because you had mentioned that I do fast typically. So I can have a little bit of a when I finally lose the energy levels there. So that it avoids that. But
Helps with the hard crash, huh?
oh, exactly.
Like raspberry ketones, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly what I take. And I've found it to be super helpful for me. And I've also lost a little bit of weight because of it too. So
I wanna try it the way you did it, and not necessarily because I tried doing it, two of them, around lunchtime. But I want to try doing it like you did, one in the kind of
sure.
brunch time frame, and then one in the about lunch, a little after
Yes,
lunch.
split the dose a little bit. It levels things out, so there's not quite so much of a fall off there. But the kind of the last area I think that I wanted to touch on in terms of diet in general is the gut microbiome, as it's called, which is essentially just this collection of little organisms, for lack of a better word, that are in our gut. They're in our system further on down the way. That as long as it's a diverse system, is good. It's actually very good for us. And you tend to get a more diverse gut from eating fermented foods, which isn't really something that a lot of people do anymore, like Greek yogurt, pickles that are not never been heated, um, kimchi, sauerkraut. There's a couple other things like that. There's some of those that the taste just doesn't agree with me, so I stick to pickles and Greek yogurt. But
Oh yeah.
there are some different supplements that you can do for that as well. But going back to that point of it needs to be diverse. Supplements usually only have a handful of types of the probiotic or prebiotic type stuff. And what they mean by that, the prebiotic is something that helps foster the environment. Uh, Probiotic is usually some form of the actual organism itself, and then a postbiotic is something that helps support it after it's in there. Is my understanding of it, anyways. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, we want to keep it complex, diverse, and unfortunately, one side effect of an overload of carbohydrates, and specifically simple carbohydrates, and really a lot of the gross processed food nowadays is it kills off that stuff in our gut, and that shows itself in our lives with a slew of different things like behavioral health issues or physical health issues or just a bunch. So something definitely that people should keep in mind if they're not super familiar with, and just get curious and try to learn a little bit about it.
Well, and that's definitely what we always try to encourage is for you to find what works the best for you. You know, like we said, everything doesn't always work for everybody. So work with yourself, your knowledge, get curious, figure things out for what it is. Ask your doctors, find, something like, whatever works is your form to find out what's best for you. You know, as I said, diet can be helpful for mental health on both directions. And so definitely something to keep in mind, and, keep track of your mental, your mental state through any changes, and lean on your people as you need to.
Before we dive into the small business love thing, one of my sisters asked me personally the other day, why do I always wear this hat on this podcast? And as you can tell, my lighting is not the best right now, right? I still have to get some more equipment. Unfortunately for everyone else, I am very bald. So I will blind you to the straight reflection if I take my hat off. So that is why I always have a hat on during this calf. Nate's hair is just messy. He's not bald.
Just call yourself out for everybody, Todd. Way to go. That's fantastic.
I got no problem with it.
I understand.
All right, so you're here, you're watching the Infinite Edge podcast, but there's other podcasts out there, and there's other small businesses that we like to talk about on here, such as the Subtle Flex podcast ran by Fred Lefeo, who does sports podcasts, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, pro wrestling. He does a little bit of everything. We got our Laser Bakes, right, Nate, by our buddy Blakely Hollinger, who does handcrafted wood decorations.
We got to see if we can't get some of his stuff here to show up and show off at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure we could. I actually I bought some stuff from him for Christmas. It was a little ornament that said naughty or nice. My kids are bad. I'd slide it back and forth. For some reason I'd wake up and my 7-year-old would move him back. He thinks he's always nice, but that's neither here nor there, right? Next we got the Bee's Knees Handmade. They specialize in customized shirts and stuff. That's Sierra Rodriguez. I know she definitely appreciates everyone's business, especially right now. I know she's about to have a baby soon, so.
I wonder if I could get her to make me a shirt that says "Get Curious."
I
feel like that's got to be a thing.
That would be you use that all the time. You could do that, and
I'll ask for you.
Appreciate it.
You want large for it, or extra large, fatty? No, I'm just kidding.
Dang!
I'm just kidding.
Man.
As I call him fatty, I'm very obviously. I think I'm the heaviest person out of us three for sure. So that's why I got to eat more protein.
Case.
What'd you say, Nate?
I said not by much, even if that is the case.
Yeah.
And the last small business we have to plug right now is if you're in the Fort Wayne area, Columbia City, more specific, Sage and Stone has your homeopathic cures. We'll say cures or fixes, or they're there to help you, and I'm sure they would love your business. That's only in person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing that Sage and Stone does, they actually have other local artists and vendors that they actually house there as well. So there's a lot of stuff there. It's a very cool little nifty place. So definitely worth checking out.
Well, there you go. Wait. Ooh, there's more.
There is, yeah. I actually do have one.
Yes.
For once.
Perfect.
Warrior Woodworks. A gentleman I know, Mr. Stephen Walker, has launched his own business. I believe this week was actually the official launch itself, and he creates custom furnishings and a lot of really, really cool, unique stuff in the carpentry lane. So if anybody wants to, and everybody should check that out. I know I'm going to see if he can't get some custom stuff made for me.
Can you name that again for us, please?
It is Warrior Woodworks.
Warrior Woodworks. Is that online?
It is on Facebook, yes.
Okay, Facebook. I'll have to check that out as well. I like custom-made woodwork as well. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Does anybody have anything else they'd like to go into?
I have no more.
You know what? I did forget to mention one thing. As of right now, Nate is still not a medical professional. And I will never be one. And I don't think Jeremy's working it.
Turn it that way and make it sound like I'm talking like I am. I am not, in fact.
Yeah. Dr. Nate. He could get a doctorate in something, I'm sure. Music.
Might get a lab coat. Just roll with that. Roll the lab coat.
And then underneath you'll have your I'm Curious or whatever shirt on underneath it.
Get Curious.
Get Curious. I like it.
Get Curious.
Well,
absolutely.
I think that's it, right, guys? That's the end of the Infinite Edge podcast. We'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.